I think one of the biggest things as we talk about inclusion, we talk about diversity, that are very important is to remember that it's a process, not a destination. You know, if we ever get to a point where we say we're inclusive enough, we can stop working on this, we've kind of failed there. You know, there will always be, we can always do things better. We can always improve on it. And part of, you know, our stated goals are continuous improvement. And so if we're committed, and I assume everybody is here in this room because they're actively, you know, we're all on the same team. We do want to have a better workplace for everyone. And so if, you know, your coworkers feel comfortable coming in to point out something that maybe you're doing that is less inclusive than it could be, it's not a rebuke. It's, you know, it's when your manager comes to you and says you're doing an excellent job on the technical side of things, I need you to do better on the customer focused side of things. You know, it's not a, you're bad at this and you should feel bad and stop. It's here's what you're doing well, here's what you can do better. So I think just keeping an idea that we're hopefully all working towards inclusion and a better workplace for everyone, and we'll have days where we kind of mess it up, and then we come back the next day and hear how we can do better and incorporate it going forward.
Any other thoughts on that?
I think it's really important for everybody to sometimes take a step back and realize that whether you're the expert at something or you're approaching the expert at something, even if you're an expert, you can learn something new. I've been on both sides of that, where I thought I knew everything about a certain topic, and then someone said, well, you know, what about, and I was like, oh, yeah, forgot about that. And I've also been on the, ooh, should I say something to that person? Because that person's supposed to know so much more than me that I'm sure they've thought of this. And then, so you don't say anything, and then it turns out that they hadn't thought of it. And boy, I should have opened my mouth, because then we would have saved, you know, 3 or 4 weeks. And I think we get caught up on either side of it, right? And we're all, if we just take that step back as individuals and realize that, you know, experts can learn something new every day too. So it pays to speak up, whether you're trying to talk to the expert or whether you think you are. Listening and speaking up are the 2 biggest things, and I don't think we do either of them necessarily enough.
I'm going to put our HR partners on the spot. Do we have a unconscious bias training for AE?
It's actually in the works right now.
Okay, that's great. So I think inclusion means many things. Right. Okay, so you know, one of the earlier experiences I had was that we had when I was at IBM Research, most of our managers were male, and we were finding that there was some interactions that were problematic. Of course, the management team only find this out later. So then we said, okay, what's going on? A lot of it has to do with preconceived notions, unconscious bias when you have dialogue with people, right? And it's not, generally, you know, a lot of it is not gender-driven, ethnically driven, it's just a mindset. So we actually had the entire first-line managers go through unbiased training, and then we kind of just monitor progress afterwards, and a lot of things improved. What it did actually just open up dialogue, right? Just to, for you know, in a meeting or manager to employee, just have an open dialogue without one person feeling somehow intimidated or the other person feeling that, you know, the other person's not listening to them, right? So I think it was really, really helpful. And like I said, it's not anything specific. I think it's just, you know, unconscious bias is in the back of your head, because we all come from different cultures, brought up a different way, right? And I think the listening is a really good skill to have, right? Especially when you're in a tense situation. I think listening is a really good skill. So I'm glad it's in the works.
And Isabel, where it rears its head a lot is during the interview process, or interviewing as well.
I should put a mic on you. Give me 1 second. Because we're recording.
Oh, it's coming.
It can be edited later. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Isabel, that where we see unconscious bias come out a lot is in the interview process as well, when we're interviewing someone or considering someone. And just the way that we interacted, looked at someone and trying to, quote unquote, judge them for a job, right? And so that's always in our mind as well throughout our training process, is how do we create an unbiased culture within an AE, whether it's in interviewing or just working collectively side by side.